join me today in the all-new SEAT Arona. It's the smallest SUV that SEAT make. It's also the second SUV that they've made. It's the smaller brother to the Alteca. Think of it as a rival to the Citroen C3 Aircross or the Kia Stonic. Now, SEAT is a Spanish company. All the cars are designed, engineered and manufactured in Spain, but they're also part of the YWW group, so they can pull all sorts of technology from the group. As a result, the Arona is based on an all-new platform. It's called the MQB A0 platform. I suppose you don't really need to know that, but what you do need to know is that it has all sorts of benefits. It's lighter, it's stronger, it's also smaller, so you can fit more into a smaller car than you could before because the actual underpinnings of it are smaller. There are 6 trims to choose from. SEAT wants the buying process for this car to be as simple as possible. So you choose your trim, choose your engine, then you choose your colour. The entry-level trim is SE, then above that you've got SE Technology. Then you've got FR and FR Sport, and as you might be able to tell from the names, they're supposed to be the slightly sporty models in the range. And then alongside that you've got 2 slightly more luxurious options. You've got Excellence and Excellence Luxe. There are 3 petrol engines to choose from. There's a 1 litre turbocharged 3-cylinder with 95 brake horsepower and a 5-speed manual gearbox. Then above that, you've got a 1 litre 3-cylinder turbocharged engine, but with 115 brake horsepower and either a 6-speed manual or a 7-speed double clutch. That's what I've got here. And then above that, you've got a 1.5 litre turbocharged engine with 150 brake horsepower and a 6-speed manual gearbox. As for diesels, there's a 1.6 litre with 95 brake horsepower and a 5-speed manual gearbox, and then you've got another 1.6 litre diesel but with 115 brake horsepower and a 6-speed manual gearbox or a 7-speed DSG. Now, as you might expect, the fastest engine in the range is 150 brake horsepower petrol. That'll do 0 to 62 miles an hour in 8.3 seconds and go on to a top speed of 127 miles an hour. The slowest engine in the range is the 95 brake horsepower diesel. That'll do 0 to 62 miles an hour in 11.9 seconds and go on to a top speed of 107 miles an hour. The economy figures also reflect that performance. The fastest engine is the least economical, it'll get 55 miles per gallon, and the slowest engine is the most economical, it'll get 70 miles per gallon. Now, this car, as I said, is an FR, and it's got the 1 litre turbocharged 3-cylinder engine with 115 brake horsepower and the 7-speed double clutch gearbox. 0 to 62 miles an hour takes exactly 10 seconds and the top speed is 113 miles an hour. Now, the engine, although it doesn't make the most inspiring noise in the world, I think it performs pretty well. 10 seconds 0 to 60, that's fairly respectable and kind of the norm for this class of car. And actually it feels like it pulls pretty strongly almost all the way to the red line. The red line is 6,000 RPM and it doesn't really start to run out of puff until 5,000, 5,500 RPM. I've now slowed down just to demonstrate this gearbox. 7-speed double clutch, and in my mind it does what a double clutch should do. It shifts quite quickly, so foot down. The changes are as quick as I would expect them to be with a double clutch gearbox. I actually really like this gearbox. I think it suits this car quite well. I think an automatics in small cars, sometimes they can just be slow and lazy and unpredictable. I think because this is a DSG, yeah, it puts a bit of fun into it. It makes everything feel immediate. I quite like it. How does it drive? Well, actually, there's a little bit of roll, as you'd expect. The steering is quite light and off-centre. For the first little bit of steering angle, it feels like you're playing on a PlayStation rather than actually steering a car, but once you've got a bit more angle on, it weights up and it feels a bit more natural. But it's got a good amount of grip actually, and it feels quite lightweight. I mean, this car with a DSG gearbox weighs 1,210 kilos, so it is still a light car. As for the way it looks, I do quite like the design. I think it's quite a pretty car actually, but I don't know, I don't dislike its design, but it could excite me a little bit more. And it's the same with the interior. Everything's laid out very well. The quality's quite good, although some of the plastics up here on the top of the dashboard, they're not really what I'd expect, but it's just lacks a little bit of design flair. Now, prices start at £16,555, so quite competitive. This particular car is just over £20,000. Do I like it? Well, I think the combination of this engine and this gearbox, that's a really good pairing. It's actually quite good fun. Do I think the Arona overall is a class leader? I'm not so sure about that.